Yeah, you guys said it earlier. Ohio is one of the most established programs, but they're still a young team that's learning the ropes, especially in conference play. Head coach Bob Bolden said that there's no bad team in the MAC, and even if they aren't winning those games, they're gaining experience, which is the most important part. Yeah, I grabbed Coach coming out of the locker room. She said that they had a great first quarter, but they're really still trying to work on putting a complete game together. The main thing that she's focusing on is taking care of the ball. You know, you got to limit those turnovers, rebound when you can, and defensively, they still have to contain number 22, Caitlin Zaricki. Riley, you mentioned it earlier. This is a highly anticipated game. However, that anticipation has been going on for years. The first meeting between the Chippewas and the Broncos dates all the way back to 1970. Today's meeting marks the 112th, which, after doing some research, I found out is the most played Division I in-state rivalry in Michigan. Yeah, I was able to check in with Chippewa head coach Barbie on the way out of the locker room, and he said the reason for that lead is defense. They're holding the Broncos to 21% shooting, and they're out-rebounding them. Ultimately, the reason for this Chippewa lead, and a large one, is their defense. You've preached defense all season, even out of halftime. You said that that is what we need to do to continue that game. How important was that, especially in that second half? I am in Central Michigan student section. It's called the Snake Pit, and it's called the Snake Pit for a reason. When Judd Friedel, the former Michigan State head coach, came to play his first regular season game as a head coach in Michigan, he lost 81-76. He stated that he will never come back here and play in that Snake Pit again. So Snake Pit, how are we feeling tonight?
Ball State having no problems, up 60-43, despite, Cristiana, how much they lost from last year.
Yeah, they lost 4 of their stars to the transfer portal last season. They're only returning 20% of their points, and they're relying on a lot of their newer faces, including Bailey and Anderson, who have seen a lot of floor time tonight, but that's okay. You can see that this is working for them. Even though they have a 7 to 8 man rotating roster, it goes to show that you don't necessarily need the most talented or most prestigious players. You just need something that works. Your team showed a ton of depth and versatility tonight. They came out to perform when you guys needed it most. What does this say about the growth and the maturity of the team, especially when they came out to perform in those clutch moments? That's a huge difference from your team compared to last season, and you have said that from the beginning of the season to now. Where do you think this team can go if they keep at it? Yeah, Adam, you're right. Defense has been why the Chippewas have been so hot in conference play. In conference play, they've held their opponents to 64 points per game, 40% shooting, and just 27% shooting outside the arc. They're ranked first in all of those categories. Central Michigan is so near and dear to your heart, but so is head coach Kristen Haney. She coached alongside you for years. How does it feel to watch her lead a program of It's a new year, new coach, and for Coach Simon, that means it's a new brand. His brand is centered around relentless energy and enthusiasm, and he says, fly around and find out. That is totally being encapsulated here in the second half as they're outscoring Central Michigan 13-10. They've held them scoreless for the last 3 minutes. He stated in the pregame that phrase, fly around and find out, encapsulates the team really well, and he is putting that on display right now. This is a totally different team than last year. Yeah, you can look at it on paper, but it's totally different in the locker room as well. Tony Barbie says that this team has so much more buy-in than last season, and they're playing for each other. That can be seen on the court. I mean, there's a huge, huge variance in who's scoring the points, who's rebounding, who's assisting. And you know, last year that was really dominated by a select group of 3. Happy New Year, guys. We have a lot to celebrate. I mean, it's MACtion and it's 2024, but the Bulls could be leaving with a lot more to celebrate. Over the past decade, they've really dominated the league, but with their new head coach, they're approaching unfamiliar territory. Their only win this season comes from a Division II school. Since then, they've lost 9 straight, scoring less than 70 points in each for the first time since 1999. It's a new year, a new team, and it really just takes one win to propel them forward. Cristiana Rosa here with head coach Jonathan Vance. Coach, 2 games, 2 very different outcomes. What contributed to that? I had the chance to speak with head coach Halkovich this morning, and he said that some keys for today's game are to do a better job of taking care of the ball and just play the full 40 minutes defensively. I don't know about you guys, but they've played a heck of an 8 minutes defensively. The team has held Central Michigan 0 for 5 shooting for 3, 30% from the floor. He mentioned that the team really feeds off of each other for energy, and hey, that is clear in McGirt. You guys mentioned it, both teams here today are looking for their first MAC win, and what that's going to come down to is consistency. Both teams had great games on Wednesday, but they fell apart in one quarter each. They're going to need to play that full 40 minutes and stay consistent to secure that win today. You know, it may be Coach Powell's first season as a head coach, but he's not new to Valpo at all. He was on Bryce Drew's coaching staff for 5 seasons, where he collected 124 wins during that time. He has had that winning mentality ever since he played at Illinois, and he plans to bring that here to Valpo and his players. Adam, it may just be an exhibition game, but for Davenport, it's a lot more than that. Since they transitioned to Division II play in 2017, they faced a Division I opponent each year in an exhibition match to really ease that adjustment and just make a more competitive environment. Coach Paddock said that it's still an important game for them tonight, and they want to build momentum. He really wants to build confidence going into the Christmas season. Tonight's matchup is the second of the week for Bowling Green, who took down Eastern Michigan in 3 sets last night. Each set was a battle by both teams, but some scary good plays by the Falcons allowed them to come on top. Bowling Green's Jaden Walls recorded her 7th double-double last night with 35 assists and 10 digs. Madison Wardell had a standout day. She had 22 points, 10 rebounds. How did her energy impact the performance of the team on the court and off the court? You know, part of the reason that Ohio took that set is because of Caitlin O'Farrell. She's really been a dominant force for this Bobcat squad, and it's really no surprise. The graduate student recorded 365 kills last season and is on track to meet or exceed that this season with 334 kills already. And hey, athleticism runs in the family. Her sister and her mom both played at the collegiate level. I had the opportunity to check in on the Chippewa huddle after this last set, which was in largely part led by Ellie Maidendorp. Ellie was saying that, yes, we can get frustrated. Games like this, we're going to get frustrated, but let's not let that affect. Don't get discouraged by that. They had a lot of errors in the last set, and they're minimizing those now. They're on a 5-0 lead, and I think that Ellie's little pep talk is leading them in the right direction. Let's talk Lauren Strock. She had a standout night. She had 18 kills, 18.5 points. How does her energy and her performance impact the team as a whole? Coach, you closed out your regular season with a win, and it was at home. How are you feeling right now?
On that, let's check in with Cristiana Rosa.
Yeah, I was able to grab Coach Barbie out of the locker room, and you will not believe what he said. He said that we got to score in the second half. I mean, the defense can do what they want. They can do their job, but you have to score off of their defense. They're shooting 60% right now. That is not satisfactory. In order to keep that lead and get the win tonight, you gotta score. It's easy as that. This was a different win, a different game, but it's also a different team. What do you have to say about your team's growth from last year compared to this? Central Michigan's up by 2. Chippewas are pretty excited about that. You can tell from the bench, you can tell on the court, and that's huge for head coach Kristen Haney. She's trying to rebuild the culture of the team to how it was when she coached under Sue Guevara, the GOAT, may I add. And you can really tell that that energy and that chemistry is on the court, on the bench. And hey, with such a small squad, it's easy to build that chemistry, and they're doing it fast. I talked about it pregame. It's time for the 13th annual Hoops for Hunger. I have just a small section of kids behind me, but there are over 2,500 in Mercury Arena today. CMU has been partnering with local school districts to raise money and food donations, which raises tens of thousands of donations over the past 13 years. These kids are so excited, as you can see. They get off of school and they get to watch a basketball game in the process. You came into today really wanting to emphasize defense and playing the full game. How do you feel about your team's performance on the court today?
We've been waiting for that, so we're hoping to build on it, and it starts with defense and rebounding, and we did that tonight.
You know, you want to build on that, and you're going to use this momentum as you go into that 2-week stretch. What are some good things that you want to take from today as you go into those away games? First win of the season, but more importantly, first win in the Northwoods League, and it was a big one. How are you feeling right now? Coach Haney and Klipfeld may both be head coaches, but the similarities don't stop there, and that goes all the way back and begins with Susie Merchant. Susie Merchant was the head coach at Michigan State and Eastern Michigan, where Shane Klipfeld began his head coaching career. He served as an associate head coach under Merchant at Eastern, and then took that role when she went on maternity leave. He then followed her to Michigan State. Similarly to Haney, Haney began her assistant coaching career at Eastern Michigan, and then later went to Michigan State, where she coached under Merchant. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Both of these coaches are doing fantastic. Although they're at different paths in their lives, you can tell that they had a fantastic mentor.
Yeah, that stint you're talking about at Eastern Michigan for Susie Merchant, she only coached 4 games that season. The rest of it was all Shane Klipfeld. Talk about getting your first head coaching experience. I mean, what a situation.
Yeah, it's unlikely, but that did lead him to win MAC Coach of the Year that year.